Hello, everyone. All right, we are live. It is Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, I guess now. Uh, I'm a little worse for wear, having had quite a night at Riot Fest yesterday, and getting ready to head right back there.
I
But we're
I
gonna
wasn't
get
gonna
into
say
it.
that, Cheesy. I wasn't gonna say that because I've been doing this for a long time, and I know you don't sound 100%, but you're there. You're here to talk about this episode. You're about 125%. So your enthusiasm to talk about what we just saw this week from Ahsoka is making up for the loss of voice.
I mean, how could you not be enthusiastic about that episode? We were worried about that episode too.
We
I mean, I
were.
think we're going. If we look at last week's podcast, we were talking about it, and it really felt like they got a hit on this. They got to do this right, and I think they did. And I think that it leaves enough questions open to keep it a very intriguing part of Star Wars. And why don't we just jump right into that, because the World Between Worlds was more than what I had hoped for here. I
Okay.
was really, really, really liked that they didn't do it exactly the same as they did with Ezra, where he was just kind of getting glimpses through those little portals, and that they actually went in and kind of relived some moments. That poor girl's getting typecast though. She's young Gamora, now she's young Ahsoka. I mean, poor
Yeah,
thing.
is it Ariana Greenblatt or
I
something
think
like
so.
that?
Yeah, yeah. What did you think about this, Josh?
All right. So, as you have known me since we have done recapping of Star Wars shows, Treasy, there are times in which I feel compelled to call out bloggers, people who review TV shows and movies for a living. And this is one of those episodes because so many of the recaps that I have read about this episode, they completely missed, at least in my opinion, what they watched. The world between worlds that Ezra went into was this portal that was set up by, I assume, the father of the Force.
That's my
And
guess.
he transported into this place where time stops. And you could jump in between different points of time through the universe. A very dangerous tool. That's why Emperor Palpatine wanted access to the world between worlds, because then he can manipulate everything. What Ahsoka went into appears to be a world between worlds. But spoiler alert, if you haven't watched the episode, I don't know why you're watching this recap right now. Terezi, I don't think technically she went into the world between worlds.
Okay.
What we saw is Ahsoka is in a coma like state because she literally just fell off a cliff into the ocean. And watching this episode 3 times, it just solidifies my standing that the interactions that we see between Ahsoka and Anakin are not like she magically disappeared into thin air, which is something that they touched on. Hera's like, people just don't disappear into thin air. I don't think Ahsoka got transported to the world between worlds. This is all going on in her mind. And what we are seeing is her connection to the Force, her training on the connection to the Force by Anakin, her former master, is what is keeping her alive. And I've done a lot of reading about this week to see if I was completely off base, because there's a lot of medical journals about comas and how some people, when they fall into a coma and they get brought back, they report that they had very vivid dreams. And I think that this is one of those things that Ahsoka's going into, is that her past Jedi training from Anakin as a survival mechanism is trying to keep her alive. And that's the whole lesson here from Anakin. What we think is Anakin, but just might be a figment of Ahsoka's imagination, is her brain trying to keep her alive before she drowns in the ocean.
So I agree with you on one part of that, which is that this is the culmination of her training. This is something that had to happen for her to get to completely be trained and go on to what apparently is some kind of Gandalfian stage that I don't know anything about. But I'm going to disagree that this was not the world between worlds. I think it is. And the reason I think it is because of Jason Sandula. He can hear the sabers fight. He could hear the lightsabers going at each other, and it feels maybe it's not the world between worlds, but it is some kind of pocket dimension, the way that Mortis was in the Mortis arc. And this is where I'm going to lose everybody. I think that what we saw actually is something more important for Anakin than it is for Ahsoka. I think Anakin has become the father. I think that that's the end result of him living on both sides of the Force. It's what Mortis saw, what the father saw for him in the Mortis arc, and what he culminated in is taking over for the father as the father foresaw. And now he can pull people into this dimension the way that they pulled in Anakin, Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan. And I know that's insane, but I'm saying it out loud. And
okay, so then why would he pull Ahsoka at this moment then?
Because she was about to die. I think.
Okay. So we agree there. Ahsoka's dying.
Ahsoka is drowning at this point, and that's why there's all the life and death pieces about it, and it's like, do you want to come here and be in the world between worlds in this pocket dimension with me, or do you actually want to go forward and live? And there's part of it too, I think, is she's going down a dark path. Like, you could see it throughout the early episodes, and I think it's what a lot of people were referring to as like, she's playing this character so terribly, and it's like, no, she's playing this character to be darker than previous. Like, she's going down a path, and I think Anakin is very familiar with that path, and I think he's the perfect person to kind of take her through that journey. And when he tells her you're more than that, I think he's really getting to the point of like, it's not just light and dark side. It's not just warrior or being peaceful. Like, you can encompass all of these things. And so that's, to me, it makes it very interesting as to what her go forward is going to be. Like, you see a little bit of it towards the end of the episode, but I also think, like, obviously past this season, there's going to be more Ahsoka stuff. Dave Filoni's not just going to stop writing her. I'm kind of wondering where this goes forward for her. What do you think her character? Like, what happens with her character after this?
Well, the whole interactions between Anakin and Ahsoka, like the final lesson, live or die. What we've seen in this season before episode 5 is that Ahsoka's been very timid. She doesn't know what she is going up against, and there is a level of curiosity, but she's not moving in a direction. And it goes even with like Sabine. Like, am I training you or not? Am I just dragging you along for the ride or not? Like, Ahsoka's not being assertive. And when you're about to die, according to Anakin, or at least in what I think is the figment of Ahsoka's imagination here, you either wake the ass up and you survive, or you don't wake up and you die. Like, those are the only two options that you have. So in this moment, I think it's one of those lessons from people that suffer almost near-death experiences, is that all of a sudden they get rejuvenated and they become more decisive and they try to live life to its fullest. And now Ahsoka, surviving this near-death experience, again, this is her second near-death experience, that hopefully gets her to be more assertive and going into a direction, because there's just no way that you're going to be able to defeat this particular situation that she's going to be going up against, especially trying to find Sabine now, because she knows that Sabine's on her way to meeting Thrawn, unless you are assertive. And I think that's the one thing that Anakin Skywalker was never timid, as I think Hue said that he was intense. And
that was a great line. It was a great line. How was he? Intense.
intense, which is accurate. And I think that's the difference between Anakin and Ahsoka, is that Ahsoka constantly questions, why are we doing this? And now she needs to move on from that. And because if she doesn't, she is going to die. Either someone will kill her or she will make a mistake that ends her life.
Yeah, and I think there's, it is about, some of it is about mistakes and handling mistakes, because I think it's the second piece of her flashbacks is after she's caused a bunch of the clones to be killed, right? She makes a rash decision, a bad decision, and it causes a bunch of the clones
callback all the way to
killed.
season 1, right?
That's
Wars?
an early Clone Wars episode. I can't remember if it's season 1 or 2, but yeah, it's very early in it. And she's got a lot of Anakin to her at that point, and she's very much like him. Even Obi-Wan is like kind of pissed about how much she's becoming like Anakin, and so you could see that, like, that's something that's stuck with her, that kind of mistake. And if you're gonna go head first into these situations, you got to be willing to make mistakes. And you see that at the end when she's like, I don't know where we're going. It's like that's the one of the big lessons there. And I think that's very cool. When we talk about go forward, and we talked about this guy a little bit earlier with Jason Syndulla, what's his go forward? Because I love the line. I love the interaction between Hu Yang and Carson Teva when he's like, what's happening here? And he's like, Jason has abilities. And the Carson Teva just like, okay, whatever. Just like, let's get the ships going. Is he going to be trained? Is Jason going to be trained? Is he going to be trained by Ahsoka?
So that's a good question. I don't know. Well, one, probably. That should be the correct answer. Stop wasting your time and try to make Sabine what she will not be. And maybe that's going to be something we encounter in a few episodes here. You are not made to be a Jedi. But Jason is. And if we want Jason to survive Ben Solo, then it probably would be a good idea that Ahsoka becomes Jason's master. So I think logically would make the most sense for Ahsoka to just take Jason under her wing. Now, will Hera allow that? We'll see.
Yeah.
But Jason is really in tune with the Force. And I don't know, like, I still disagree with you about the pocket dimension, but Jason can obviously reach out and feel others and what else is going on in other people's minds. We saw this just recently with Baylor, right? And his ability to tap into Ahsoka's weakness and use that against her, and then tap into Sabine and what she was thinking and how she was feeling, to be able to manipulate her to willingly go with the enemies onto their ship and jump into hyperspace into a whole different galaxy. So this is obviously a very strong Jedi skill that Jason, as a youngling at this moment, is able to tap into. So he's got really strong Force abilities, and logically, Chirizi, Ahsoka should train him, but I'm not certain that will be the case.
I'm just glad you took the opportunity to remove your death sentence from him that you gave him a couple episodes ago. I wanted to give you an opportunity for that. I appreciate that you're going to let Jason live past 15. So
maybe.
Yeah, who knows? It's like, oh, this season got dark. They killed Jason in the next episode. The idea though of Ahsoka training him is interesting to me from an aspect of, will she train him as a Jedi, or will she train Sabine and Jason and possibly others at some point, even some additional training to Ezra under this new, or maybe, okay, let me say this and then we'll go off on a further tangent. But I think like in a new kind of, not necessarily Jedi, not Sith, not Jedi, drawing from both sides, understanding both sides of the Force. And if we get that, does she end up training Shin? Like, is there at some point in this season, is there a turn for Shin? I mean, she'll have to kill Balin for that to happen. But
yeah, Balin, not Baelor. Balin.
Do you see that as a possibility? Like that she's going to get some kind of new order, not a Jedi order, because she doesn't like the Jedi order.
No, well, does she not like the Jedi Order? I don't know. Again, another conflict for Ahsoka and the Jedi Order. She did not like where the Jedi Order was at the end of Clone Wars, and especially on how they treated her. So that I do agree with. Shin, I don't see that happening. She might be too far off the deep end at this moment, and would not be able to be brought back. But in the comment section during the YouTube stream, Baloney put up a comment, Ezra possibly training Jason. I think that is a strong chance of that happening if they do find Ezra and Ezra is okay. And that would be a cool way of ending this particular series, because obviously Kaylin Jarrus trained Ezra, and Kaylin is Jason's dad, so that would be a cool connection. So Baloney is probably going to end up being right that at the end Ezra and Jason will be Master and Padawan, but it does raise questions like with Ahsoka. I guess if we're trying to figure out what's going to happen after this season, maybe we're putting the cart before the horse here, Chirizi. But it is a good question that you're raising of what happens moving forward as we try to guess on what episodes 6, 7, and 8 are going to be about.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to that in 1 second. I'll just say I kind of want Ezra to, when they find him, for him to be like very insane. Like like just kind of lost his mind out in this like other realm. Yeah, I mean the Purgle come at the end of this. That was just insanity. We had pondered how are they going to get out there, and like my brain could only wrap around the idea of like, okay, they're gonna somehow grab them in those like tentacles, they'll take them out with them, or just jump in their mouth. That's a route I did not expect. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to go to exactly where Morgan went, or do you think it's going to be somewhere else?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, first of all, shout out to Finding Nemo, as this scene reminded me a lot of Finding Nemo, when Dory's trying to speak whale and they get shot into Sydney as the whale took them the rest of the way. So this is kind of like our Finding Nemo moment here. That's a good question. I don't know if they're going to go to the same place. I maybe they will, because so much of the Night Sisters kind of set up their Chirizi that they used the map on. You can see in the outer circle Purgil. So this must be a set route that the Night Sisters were able to track and map. I don't know how the path of the Purgil jumping between galaxy to galaxy. So I'm going to say, because we only have 3 episodes left in this series, yes, they're going to end up exactly where they need to be.
See, I think I think that's true, but I don't think it's where Morgan is. I think that they're going to go to wherever Ezra is. And I don't know that that's the same place as Thrawn.
Okay, that's all right. I agree.
And so, because I had my hopes up at the beginning of this series to see Thrawn a lot, and now I'm pretty convinced I'm only going to see him in the very last episode. So I think that this episode may be them finding Ezra and the Purgil. I mean, they don't. Why would they know that they want to go see Thrawn? They're like, hey, we took your buddy out here. We'll take you where your buddy's at. That seems more realistic to me. Like, that seems more like, I don't know why I said realistic. This is all insanely crazy, but it seems like more fitting for the story of like, we're going to take you to Ezra. From there, we'll see where they go. My biggest question now with the Purgil is, are they going to take him back, or do they have to or do they have to hijack Thrawn's ship, right? Like, or Thrawn and Morgan's ship? Like, how are they getting back? So like, yeah, I mean, like, it's, I don't think there's an app to like go like, hey, I need some Purrgil over here, get me back to the other galaxy.
a lift.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see how they handle that. I'm also interested to see what this other galaxy is.
Yeah.
Like, is there some other threat there? Is there some other thing that they're going to encounter that makes them either stay or continue to go back there? Because at the end of the day, if you're fixing this franchise, right, and you have the sequel trilogy, and like none of these characters are there, like they got to be somewhere, right? They got to be somewhere else, you know. Right. And it's you can't just do the Joe Pesci from Casino and like, they're probably across the street or somewhere else. They're not here. Like, you can't really do that. And we know that the Ghost is at the final battle, so at least someone who flies the Ghost is still alive. Mm-hmm. So it's very difficult to see how they fit this all together with everything else, unless there is some other threat that they're dealing with someplace else. And so I think that this might open it up. Do you think we're going to see something like that, or do you think this is going to be strictly Thrawn-based?
I do like the idea that you brought up, that they're going to find Ezra first. And there's a lot of catching up between Ahsoka and Ezra. And then Ahsoka would have a good partner, a backup partner. He doesn't have a lightsaber, I don't think, at this moment. But Ahsoka and Ezra versus the new guys, the new Sith guys. That would be pretty fun, and maybe a really cool scene of like Ezra using the Force to take his lightsaber back. Would be a cool way to reintroduce Ezra. Sabine seeing Ezra for the first time in like forever, because Ezra would be very motivated. I don't know how like motivated Ezra is going to be. Maybe he's just. I'm wondering when Ahsoka finds Ezra, he's just at peace with the decision that he made, that he felt was right. And now that Ahsoka has found Ezra, this just... light bulb just went off. This could be complete opposite of what we saw in The Last Jedi when Rey found Luke. It could be very similar, but here, instead of Luke just not giving a damn that people are in trouble, when Ezra finds out Sabine is in trouble, that will get Ezra to be motivated and work with Ahsoka to go find Sabine and bring Sabine back home.
I like it. I mean, like, I'm with you, like, that he's definitely going to snap into, even if he's insane or if he's kind of just like totally at peace, he's going to snap back into it as soon as he finds out what's going on. I mean, like, I'm interested too to see what's going on with Thrawn. Like, is he just like living out in the wilderness, like he is in the books when they find him, like just kind of camped out and just chilling, or is he like started up his own, empire there, the way that he had the Empire of the Hand in the old Legends books? Like, it's gonna be, it's gonna be one of the two, right? Like, it's not like he's just like, working at a bookstore or something. Like, he's
Welcome
one.
To
he's
Barnes
doing
and
one
Noble. Thrawn. Our bestsellers list is over there, and we have the Starbucks in the back left.
He just totally forgot that he like all the other stuff he did. He's just like, what are you talking about, man? I work at the bookstore. So like, I want to see, kind of what he's up to. I'm really interested to see if they're still even close to each other, right? Yeah. It could be a thing where like they're planets away from one another, or they're very, they're on other sides of the same planet or something. Like, it's going to, you have to find some way to keep them far enough apart if you don't want Thrawn in these episodes till the end. So like, I think that's what they're going to have to do. I'm not sure though. Like I don't know where they're gonna what state they're gonna find Ezra in, nor what place. I mean, it's all gonna be new, which is awesome. That's like the best thing about all of this is that whatever we're gonna see out there is gonna be brand new. Hopefully, get some new aliens, and I'm almost hoping we get more Chiss, but I think that'll probably wait for the movies.
Are the Chiss from a different galaxy though?
They are not. They're from the same. They're from the same galaxy. They and Chiss space is in the unknown regions or the chaos they call it. And so one crazy thing about that though, and the one reason that that Ezra might still be with Thrawn, is that when you are in the chaos, and it's very possible similar in this other galaxy where if no one's built hyperspace lanes, hyperspace doesn't exist, right? So, I mean, it exists, but you don't know how to navigate it. They had Force sensitives navigate Chiss space. They navigate the chaos because they don't have hyperspace lanes because like all kinds of stuff is just flying through there all the time, right? Like so you have to like avoid like okay this there's a meteor shower flying through this, we got to go around it, like so that's how they did hyperspace. So he might have a use for Ezra, and they might just be like holding him hostage as like like this is you work for us, you took us all the way out here, but there's too many of us for you to fight back. So we'll see what kind of situation they're in.
Yeah, so one idea that I had, do we get a flashback scene that shows what happened to Ezra and Thrawn after Rebels?
I think you have to, right? Like you have to give some kind of story to it, and like how they like
that'd be a good way to start an episode, just like the chaos that they are going into.
What if the next episode just starts with the end of season 4 of Rebels?
Yeah, like that would make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, like you just like go with that exact scene. Then you could have a reason that you spent all the money making Zeb, who is still not shown up in the show.
Yeah, I don't know if he's gonna show up in the show. I thought he would have showed up in this episode, to be honest with you.
It was a good time for him to like make some kind of appearance, or in the last episode, but I guess not. Maybe it's too expensive to have him. They can only do like that one scene. But yeah, I'm excited for the last 3 episodes. I think we're gonna see some craziness. I think I want the Thrawn reveal to be soon, but I still feel like we're a good 2-3 weeks away from it. So we'll see.
Yeah, because with Mandalorian Season 3, I mean, it honestly, looking back, it took forever to figure out who's the actual bad guy, right?
Yeah.
We always had an inkling, but you only got to see 2 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
like, felt like 2 episodes.
Yeah. So it's I think it's the last 2 episodes of it where you're like, oh man, this is actually on Mandalore. That's kind of like at the very end of the season. I think that they might be going for a similar thing where maybe not this episode, but the next one you'll see it. I think the only they're separating those. They're not doing those in the same week. So yeah, it's next 3 weeks we're gonna see Thrawn at some point, man. We got to do it soon. I think we see Ezra first. That's my guess.
Yes, I think you're right.
I'm wrong about most things, so we'll see if I can nail just this one, and then you'll be right about Jason Syndulla getting killed. So we'll be even. but I think that's it for today. I think we've got a big episode coming up. We're gonna find out where these Purrgil are taking them. We're maybe gonna find out what happened to Thrawn and Ezra. We're maybe gonna see Thrawn and/or Ezra. So it's a lot going on. I'm very excited for it, and we will see you next week breaking down just the same. And if you're at Riot Fest this weekend, come say hi to me. I'll be wearing this Mexico hat because it's Mexican Independence Day. All right, talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.